Hello, my name's Rebecca, and I was wondering, have you ever wondered what it's like living in another country? Have you wondered what the difference is between America and living in another country? I have traveled all over, and I've seen the living conditions, and I wanted to tell you the difference in another country and being here. In Belize, for example, the homes were so different. I would go by on a bus and I seen that they didn't have electricity. It's so hard not having electricity. Can you imagine not having electricity? And there's like a whole group of people living in one house with no electricity. That's mind-blowing. The other thing is the driver on the bus told us they didn't have indoor water, that they would have to have stored water, and that they didn't have running water. And it takes you back to, wow, no water, no running water. I couldn't imagine not having water. And another thing of their homes is that they also didn't have indoor plumbing. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, well, without electricity and water, you can't have plumbing. And a lot of people adjust to that, but being out there in that country, it costs more money to run electricity, especially if it's an island or something like that. So it costs a lot more money for having electricity and having water, running water, because being on an island, you don't have a lot of fresh water. So it costs a lot more on the people. Then also going to another country, the living conditions, you also have to go by the language. And you know, when you're visiting and you're thinking, hey, I could live here, but could you? Is a question. I discovered that it was hard to understand the reading on the walls and stuff like that. Like if you're trying to read a sign going down the road, and it's so different from being here. The speed limit signs, they're not the same as it is here because they go by a different speed. And also driving on the other side of the road and everything, it's totally backwards from being here. So living in another country, the way they do everything is very different. And they also have, on the language, when you go in a restaurant and you want to order food or something like that, you have to understand the menu and you have to read everything like that, and it's very different to do such of that. And then you don't have the same people around you that speaks the same language, and it gets really frustrating when you're trying to talk to someone and you don't understand their language. So having the same language structure is something different when being in a different country. And then finally, my other main point is some countries are very different with the weather. The weather is very different there. Like in the tropicals, you stay in the 80s all the time. And it's so amazing because you come from here saying, oh, I'm going to go on a trip and it's 60 degrees, and you get there and it's 80 degrees. And it's like that all year round. Or you'll go to another country and they practically stay cold all year round. So it's very different to being with the weather over there. And in some countries, it's the same here, but the time zone really gets you because the sunset is setting different over there than it is here. So being in a different country has its up and downs. You have the weather. If you like the warmer weather, you may want to go to the south and hang out down there. But then you have the language structure that if you don't speak the same language, it could be really hard. And then you also have the living conditions down south because they don't have heat and air, and they don't have all that plus that we have here because it costs more there. So that's the description of living in another country, and I hope you enjoyed my video and you have a great day. Thank you.